Hi, Karen. Thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with me. I was just hoping today we could discuss some of the government stimulus packages that have become available and what support is around for our small business community. I personally have a business, and like everyone else, we've all been impacted by these times we find ourselves in. We've had to adapt. I've got young kids at home and trying to manage a business to get through these times as well. And it's really quite heartbreaking to walk around your local area and see businesses close and hear about friends and family and clients who have unfortunately lost their employment. Would you mind sharing with us your experience of how you may have had to adapt in personally and professional life?
Absolutely, and thank you very much for the invitation to join you today, Renee. Really appreciate it. Look, life is very different for all of us. So I'm working remotely, and in some ways I do that almost all the time, but it's because I travel a lot. Now I think this is the longest period that I have been at home for 10 years. But the travel restrictions have made life for me very different. I actually don't really think that life's going to go back to what it was 6 months ago, because there are some fundamental changes to the way that people have been working. And I'm not suggesting that everyone will continue to work at home or that that's even going to be a normal part. But I think that people will look at how they hold meetings, how they communicate with each other. And I think that we've done a really good job of staying in touch with each other from a business community point of view. So they're all positives.
As I mentioned, my business has been impacted like so many others. And I really actually feel quite grateful to live in Australia, where our government has come out with multiple stimulus options to try and help us all through this. I have become quite overwhelmed and consumed by trying to work out what applies and where to get that help from, or to who to seek advice from to what I'd be eligible for. Could you just provide elaborate on that for us and provide some further information?
Yes, look, I'll do my best to run through some of those, but I would encourage all businesses to do a number of things to make sure that they're getting the support they need, which is speak to their own financial advisors or accountants to make sure that they're getting that. There is the ATO website, but there's also the Australian government one, business.gov.au. And that has almost all of the information that you will need to be able to look at support that's available for your business now and well into the future. So please make sure that you look at those websites. Look, small businesses are really important to Australia, and we know that some of those have been hit very hard, particularly some on the Gold Coast, as they've experienced a significant downturn in tourism. So we've looked at a number of things that we can do to support small businesses. So we have extended the instant asset tax write-off, and we've escalated the amount that's available for that. There actually are some changes that also can be made through the ATO with the lodgement of BAS forms. So I would encourage everyone to get onto their financial advisors and their accountants to look at how they can make their changes online through their BAS statements. But those statements, that needs to be done before the BAS statement is actually due. So just watch that timeline. We will continue to look at a range of options to support our small businesses, and Michaelia Cash is really doing a very good job as the small business minister, working with small businesses. There is likely to be a gradual return to the way businesses had operated before. So a lot of that's going to come out of the states and territories directly. So that will be, I guess, a bit of a moving feast as to how those changes play out. We obviously want everyone to take baby steps to make sure that we don't face a second outbreak or we don't have other restrictions in place. So I think, there are some real options for us clearly as we go forward.
Oh, lovely. So I just wonder if you had any, positive advice or to help businesses, because obviously it's quite not great confidence or not great morale at the moment within the business community going through all this. Some people struggle in lockdown as well. So Just wondering if you had any sort of positive advice and, you know, if you can see on that other side that can help businesses through at the moment.
Look, I absolutely can see light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that as restrictions are eased, that's going to help many businesses. Not all of them are going to be impacted with the easing of restrictions in the first stage. And there's a lot of talk about a staged approach to bringing things back online. So we do want to get people back into cafes, into restaurants, you know, back out enjoying the things that they need to do. We do want them to go shopping. We need them to look at all the things that they've been doing in the past and try and access that. Now, what we have seen is a significant shift from a lot of businesses in the way that they do business. So there has been a big shift to online. That comes with its own difficulties as well. And I think there's a perception that trading online is easy when it's not. So there are a range of issues with getting your products up online and managing the online stores. And Yep. So it's you know, it's very, very easy for some people to say, "I just go online." Well, it's actually not that easy to do, but there is support that's available. And actually, here on the Gold Coast, we have an office of AusIndustry, which is a part of my department, and their role is to work with businesses to assist them. So they're based up at Southport, so it's AusIndustry. So, you know, I would encourage anyone to give them a call. They have business advisors that will be able to come out and assist them. But I think it's going to be slow progress. Some sectors, it's going to take a while to get those up and running. We're very conscious of tourism and education, particularly here on the Gold Coast, but we also know that construction, and particularly housing construction, is going to be impacted because there's not a pipeline of approvals at the moment, and there's already reports of high-rise residential projects that are not being promoted at the moment. They've gone on hold. So there's a whole pipeline of building and construction that has been impacted. And of course, you know, that is going to impact on mortgage brokers. So there's a flow-on effect for all of this. But I do believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that we are on our way as long as we do things sensibly. Because it's really easy for people to say, well, you know, we've done so well here, it hasn't really been such a risk. And the reason we've done well is because we all acted quickly. So it wasn't just government, it was everyone here who did the right thing. So what we've done is prevented deaths, and that's the harsh reality of it. So now we need to make sure that we manage things properly, come out of this as best we can, and get up and running. So the next 6 to 12 months are going to be critical.
I think you're right there. It was great to see most people follow direction and do the right thing up front, which will assist us getting back, recovering a bit quicker. But like you mentioned there, a couple of those items, like the construction projects, it's things we actually don't see. So you might see a business, a cafe open up again and think we're back on the right track, but some of those approvals are in place, that projects were going to happen, but now they won't. They're sort of items down the track, which is why you see the long-term impact this will have. It won't just be, you know, within a couple of months, everyone back up and running. It'll be a bit of time to get there. But like you said, I think we're all heading towards that way.
Yeah, but I guess the positives out of this are that people have learned a lot from this experience. And look, I'm far from the prophet of doom, but we've had SARS, we've had MERS, we've had COVID-19. Now, there's likely to be something at some stage in the future. You know, hopefully it's not the near future, but we've learned a lot out of this as to how we can start to move to a different way of operating quite quickly. So manufacturing businesses have done really well right across Australia, and people forget that the Gold Coast actually has quite a vibrant manufacturing sector here. So a lot of people are employed in manufacturing here. They've actually worked quite quickly to fill some gaps. And there's other sectors that are starting to do things very differently. Hospitality, catering, the number of people who are now getting food delivered to home. It does mean that we can move things very quickly, protect ourselves, but make sure that we're keeping businesses operating.
No, that's great. I appreciate you sharing all that information, Karen. I think it'll give a little bit of confidence and support there for businesses. And I will share those links that you mentioned so that everyone has access to that as well.